following is a presentation of 4-Star Sports Media.
This is the 4-Star Sports Show, live on the 4-Star Sports Radio Network. Now, here are the guys, Wes Pruitt, MC, and Razorback Zach. What's up, everybody? Razorback Zach from Inside the Hog Pen, joined tonight with MC. He's over there somewhere. He's on either side of me. I don't know which one. It's not Inside the Hog Pen tonight. It is the 4-Star Sports Show. Wes Pruitt's going to be joining us shortly, and got a full recap of all kinds of sports going on tonight. We are covering a little bit of everything tonight. So we are live tonight on 4-Star Sports Media's Facebook page, the 4-Star Sports Show Facebook page, obviously. The YouTube channel, if you haven't subscribed and liked it, or whatever they do over there in YouTube, make sure you go and do it. We're going to be having exclusive content, interviews you're not going to find on Facebook, exclusive in-game content from football season, a lot of new content coming out exclusively in our YouTube channel. So if you haven't gone over to YouTube and subscribed to it, you're going to want to do that. And of course, as always, we're live on our website, the new 4-Star Sports Radio Network, at 4star.live. Oh, man. Good Lord Almighty. Like, share, and follow to stay up to date on all of our Facebook pages and social media pages, even on Twitter at 4Star Sports M, I do believe. I don't remember that. You can see it at the bottom of your screen. All right, MC. We're going to start with college basketball. First off, what did you think about the weekend?
Man, what a weekend! I mean, if you're a sports fan of any kind, that's a weekend that is almost like paradise.
It is. We had a lot of big things happen, a lot of surprising things happen. I mean, we had the Daytona 500. We had we're going to start covering WWE, so we're talking WWE Elimination Chamber that happened on Saturday night, which in my opinion was terribly predictable, but we'll get to that. We've got some AEW news, All Elite Wrestling. And, of course, you and I, we're going to play the Homer game until Wes gets on here. But Arkansas had a full weekend on the Hill. I mean, I've got some jock straps to hand out, but I've got some game balls too. But, I mean, you had opening day at opening series at Baum Walker Stadium. You had Tennessee, which was a top 25 matchup inside of Bud Walton. You had Kentucky come to town today for the ladies. You had track and field. You had swimming. You had softball, which I believe they went 3-0 during the Razorback Invitational. And then some things outside the SEC. You've got Florida beating Auburn.
Yes.
In like the last seconds. You've got Juwan Howard trying to he did start a fight at the end of the game for no apparent reason. You've got in baseball, you've got Florida dropping their opening series. You've got the defending national champs, the Mississippi State Bulldogs. They lost their opening series, So a lot of things have gone on in the sports world that we get to talk about tonight. May not cover everything, but we're going to hit the hot points. And I want to start out with the Juwan Howard incident. If you haven't seen the video yet, Michigan head coach Juwan Howard started a bench-clearing post-game brawl for what? Because he didn't like the timeout that Wisconsin called? I mean, what did you see in all that, MC?
Well, and I wasn't watching the game, but I had a friend of mine text me, and he's like, turn on the Michigan-Wisconsin game right now. Well, by the time I got to the TV and got it turned on, Everything was pretty much calmed down, but it was already hit Twitter. It had blown up. So about 30 seconds left in the game. Michigan's down 18, 19, something like that. And Wisconsin's got their reserves, shall we say. I don't want to call them scrubs because those guys work hard. But we'll call them the reserves. They've got the reserves in, the guys that don't see a lot of playing time. They're in. Michigan's still got a starter or two in, which is red flag number one right there. Why you got starters in when you're down 19 or 20 with 30 seconds left is beyond me. But anyway, so Wisconsin calls timeout about 30 seconds left in the game to kind of talk over strategy because these guys don't play a lot. So they're not used to handling a press from somebody like Michigan. So calls timeout. Juwan Howard starts yapping, like Juwan Howard did in his playing days. I'm old enough to remember when he was in high school. And
wasn't he?
He's one of the Fab Five.
I was going to say, wasn't he one of the Fab Five?
Yeah. He was probably the second highest rated behind Chris Webber. Chris Webber was top rated. Juwan Howard was probably the number two, and then Jalen, and then the other two guys that nobody remembers. So Juwan was always known as a very passionate, shall we say. He liked to do this a lot. He did this a lot. I remember when Arkansas played them in the Elite Eight in the title season, and Juwan had a game, so he was yapping. So anyway, he yaps today, and
which we beat the Fab Five. So
yes, we did. So he's yapping, and at the end of the game, the Wisconsin coach, I think Greg Gard, is his name, and he kind of steps in front of Juwan to kind of block his path a little bit, and you can see he's trying to explain to him, hey, the coach, this is why I did what I did. I wasn't trying to rub your nose in it or anything. It was just this, and Juwan wasn't having it. Juwan took his finger and pointed it in his face. He's got those fingers that are about this long, and so it looked like he had like a drumstick there, kind of pointing it in his face. And then it, I guess some magic words were said, or somebody said something about somebody's mama or something, because it escalated rather quickly. And then, of course, you get the players coming to their defense of the coach, and you get both sets of players there, a bunch of testosterone-filled 19, 20-year-old dudes. We've all been there. We know what's going to happen with that. So then it all breaks down, and then when they get a few people in between Greg Gard and Juwan, you see Juwan's big hand kind of come over the top, and it started out closed fist, but as he got closer to him, it ended up more like a Rick James 5 fingers to the face type deal. But I mean, he threw a punch. He threw a punch in a post game, and it got ugly.
So a lot of people are saying that Juwan Howard should be fired for that incident. I mean, do you go? And I'm not. I don't condone any kind of fighting on the side on the sidelines. I don't condone any kind of fighting on the benches. Nothing like that. But do you think that warrants that much of a reaction from the University of Michigan, or
I don't know.
Maybe a lengthy suspension? Because aren't they NCAA? They're not NCAA bound. You don't think? Do you? I haven't looked at the rankings yet.
The last bracketology I looked at, they were in the play-in game. They were in one of the play-in games.
Okay.
So they're right there. With a couple big wins to end the season, they would be probably 9, 10 seed. Maybe slide up to an 8 or a 7, just depending on how they finish. But they're right there. I mean, they're in contention for NCAA tournament appearance. But I don't think you can let Juwan, if he keeps his job, I don't think you can let him back on the sideline this season because of the fact, he's not a player. This is a coach. He's supposed to set the example for the team. He's supposed to be the one that ultimately keeps his composure no matter what. And he's supposed to be the calming voice of reason, and he was anything but that today.
Well, Dusty Hunt is one of our longtime fans, and he said Coach Muss just took the Michigan job. Dusty, come on, dude. You're trying to get Razorback Twitter to get all over you, dude.
Whew. I mean,
Brad State, I don't foresee him actually ever leaving Arkansas. Brad Staten says, rumor has it, lengthy suspension through the conference tournament.
I could see
and
that.
Then Dusty Hunt once again chimes in and says, look at his record. University of Michigan staff celebrating they can cut him and not look like the bad guy.
Well, I'll go back to this. Everybody knows the name Woody Hayes. Woody Hayes.
I don't.
Okay, that's the legendary Ohio State coach that was fired after the Orange Bowl where he punched a Clemson player during the game. So
Oh my.
I mean, and this dude had a much better resume than what Juwan Howard has as a coach. So Google him, Woody Hayes. He's like, if you talk to anybody from Ohio State about Woody Hayes, he's their Frank Broyles basically.
Okay. See, now you're talking my language.
So I mean, he was fired for that, and he was on the top of the mountain when this happened. I think it was 78. I think 78, 79, somewhere around there. But different day, different time. I think the suspension is probably the way they will go, just because I think firing him opens a can of worms that they don't want to open.
Well, in a day and age now where the first inclination for these fan bases is to fire a coach. Mm-hmm. We saw it, especially saw it on Twitter this weekend when Arkansas dropped their first game against Illinois State. Everybody started losing their minds, going, all right, pack it in. We'll see it football season. Guys, and again, we'll get into it. We'll get into it later in the show, but it's one game. It's not – the season doesn't ride on games like it does in football and basketball. They ride on series. If you win the series, it kind of negates the first game. I mean, how many times has Arkansas won the series but dropped a game? We can't sweep everybody. You lose some, you win some, you lose some. So, and again, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big Michigan fan, but my best friend is. He's a huge Michigan fan, and I feel so sorry for him. Not really. But I digress. For those that are not watching, I know everybody likes to watch basketball, but the Lady Crimson Tide and the Lady Aggies, can you still say that, or is that like frowned upon now? They're going down to the wire. Gary Blair's final season, 47 seconds in overtime, 72-71. Texas A&M. Actually, it is now tied again, 72-72. After Alabama's free throw. So that's, if you see me look up, that's what I'm keeping an eye on. Brad Staten says baseball's a long season, one game a season. Here it goes, talking like Yoda again. One game a season doesn't make. Brad's over here talking like Yoda, y'all.
Well, the thing on Friday's game, man, they play 56 regular season games. Mm-hmm. If it was not opening day, nobody probably pays attention to this, but because it's opening day and there's all the hoopla around it, and and I think part of it was, if you were on Twitter all Friday, Dave Van Horn was in the talk a lot because of some comments that he had made, in his first press conference of the year, talking about he was talking about the Illinois State coach. Actually, was the one that brought it up and said that they respected Arkansas because of the way that they played the game without, and I'm using a Dave Van Horn word here, shenanigans. Yeah. And we all know who the teams are in the SEC that have the shenanigans. There's one down in Oxford.
I wonder who that could be.
Yeah, there's one over. Yeah. There's one over in Tennessee that likes to wear a hat that says "Daddy," even though Dave Van Horn is their daddy.
Wait, no, hold on. If he's wearing the hat, is he calling out to Dave Van Horn?
That's a good. It's like a bat signal. He's calling out.
He wears it, and But like I said, we'll get into that later in the show. The next thing I want to talk about, MC, is Auburn loses to Florida in a bizarre last couple of seconds events that unfolded, and the ramifications of that game. Arkansas travels to Florida on Tuesday, but what did you think about Auburn dropping another game to Florida after all the hype? I mean, they danced on their own logo. Could that be bad juju?
It could be some. Yeah, you don't anger the basketball gods.
Nope.
But they were mocking a little bit, and I saw some of their fans on Twitter saying, "Oh my God, they danced on their own logo. How disrespectful." Well, okay, if you're worried about dancing on logos, maybe you should worry less about that and worry a little more about game prep, because I did not see them going down to Florida and dropping that one.
Yeah, that it kind of hurts Arkansas because we wanted to be their only loss, But anytime you see Auburn lose, especially after the disrespect that they've been dishing here lately, and again, we'll get into all of that when we talk about the Arkansas game. But it kind of surprised me because Florida's not all that great this year.
No, Florida was clinging to a very frazzled rope of the NCAA tournament. They were just barely clinging on with fingernails. And that win kind of helps them, at least make it to one of the play-in teams on a solid ground. So that was a big one for them. Now, that's still not an easy place to go play. The O'Connell Center, or whatever they're calling it now. I call it the O'Connell Center. That's all I've ever known it by. They're 17-10, something like that. They're hovering just a little bit above that NIT territory. And for them to pick up that win, that was huge. Now, how does this affect Arkansas? Because Arkansas goes down there, and we'll probably get into this a little more later in the show, but that's just something to think about. Are they going to, what kind of mood does this put Florida in coming into this game? Are they riding high on emotion? And, are they confident now, or are they still going to be thinking about that game too much coming into the Arkansas game? So that's going to be interesting.
Right. All right. So when we come back, Wes Pruitt's going to be joining us on the show, and then we're going to talk about the ramifications surrounding Arkansas going to Florida. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into that. You're watching the 4-Star Sports Show on the 4-Star Sports Radio Network. Back in 30 seconds.
Hey fans, did you know that 4-Star Sports Media now has a YouTube channel? You can catch exclusive content covering all things Memphis Tigers and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Shows like The Point, and the only show on social media about the Arkansas Razorbacks that is purely fan-driven inside the Hog Pen. Plus other shows like The Hog Trough, The 4-Star Sports Show, and many more coming soon. So check them out today. Go on YouTube.com and search 4-Star Sports Media.
All right, welcome back to the 4-Star Sports Show. I am Razorback Zach from inside the Hog Pen, alongside MC, now joined by the man, the myth, and is he a legend yet? I don't know, but he's getting there. The man that started 4-Star Sports Media, Wes Pruitt. Wes, you got us, buddy. How are you? Looks like he is having some issue. So we'll check back with Wes in just a minute. So, MC, before the break, we were talking about Auburn losing to Florida. Now, Florida plays Arkansas on Tuesday night. Arkansas travels to Gainesville. What kind of effect does this loss have on both Auburn and Florida, especially with Arkansas coming in red hot on Tuesday night?
I've watched Florida play a few times this year, and I can't get a feel for these guys. A couple games, for instance, this past Saturday when they knocked off Auburn, they look pretty solid, man. They look to be a pretty solid team. They've got a big guy down low that's very similar to Cody Kessler from Auburn, and he caused some challenges that I don't think Kessler has faced this year. So it was interesting to see that matchup. Now, I kind of teased this a little bit before we went to the break. I don't know how Florida comes into this game. I haven't watched them enough to know, hey, they're still going to be riding too high and come into this game overconfident, or does this give them the confidence they need to come in and say, we can play with anybody? We just beat Auburn, number 2 team in the country. We just knocked them off. We can play with anybody.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's tough. One thing, and I think I brought this up Friday night too, and I look back in the stats just to double check this, but Arkansas has not won at center since 1995. Yeah, I was a junior in high school in 1995. We're talking Corliss and Scotty and Dwight Stewart and that bunch. That's the last.
I was like 6, 7 years old.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's
because that was the year following, and again, yes. we talked about that. Most people don't remember Arkansas won the title in 94, turned around and went back in 95, but lost to a very good UCLA team. So most people either don't want to talk about that or they don't even remember that. So, I mean, it's not a bad thing. Also, 94, the last time Arkansas dropped a season opener in baseball.
Could
it happen again?
I mean,
we don't know. We'll get into it later.
I have a long-standing thing that anytime 95 UCLA is brought up, I have to say screw Ed O'Bannon because he's the one that cost us our NCAA football video game. So screw Ed O'Bannon.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, by the way, I make it a point every show. Screw you, Mark Hurls.
we may have to come up with a screw you list, you know.
I mean, I try to fit it in every time. Every time I try to sneak it in there. So, and staying on the topic of Arkansas back in January didn't look like they had this thing together. And now, fast forward, and they've beaten yet another ranked opponent in Tennessee, 58-48, to remain unbeaten against said ranked opponents. I mean, you beat LSU, you beat Auburn, and now you beat Tennessee. Am I missing another one? I thought there was 4.
There seems like there was another one, but I'm drawing a blank now as well. I'll pull the schedule up and look at that. But that's another quad 1 win, which is, I mean, we all know how important those are when it comes down to NCAA tournament and seeding and everything that goes along with it. So to get all the quad 1 wins you can get, and I think Arkansas in quad 1 games this year I think I saw before Saturday they were either 2-6 or 3-6. So they've added another one here.
I think they've only got 2 quadrant 1 wins the last time I had spoken to the statistician that I keep in touch with.
So that was, and at the time now, and this is where I get a little fuzzy on the quad 1, quad 2, but when they beat LSU to kind of start the hot streak there, that LSU was number 12 in the country at the time. So I got to think that was the other quad 1 win besides Auburn, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so then Tennessee, that would mean Auburn and Tennessee are the other 2. So they have 3 quad 1 wins now, which is pretty strong. I was looking at, I think quad 2, I think they're 6-0. I think I'd have to look at that again. I looked at it, but I looked at too many numbers at once, and they all kind of went around in my head like that scene in The Hangover where he's counting cards and.
But we have to harp on it because of what happened, because it's going to hurt us in the long run. But that loss to Vanderbilt early in the season once it gets to the net rankings, and I think right now we're at like 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, somewhere in there. But Saturday afternoon rather, you had a lot of former Hogs come in. And, man, it was a great – and they even announced the starting lineup. These guys came out.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. Brad, I'm not even going to show that comment. I'm pretty sure you can see it there. MC, we're not going to bring up that team at all. Let's try to bring Wes back on and see if he's there. Wes, you got us, buddy? Looks like Wes is still frozen.
Frozen in time.
Yeah. Hopefully
he's trying. I can see his lips moving.
I can see his lips moving. All right, we'll check back with Wes in just a second, see if he's back on. But and like Josh Wilbank says right here, they're gonna have to shoot better than 35%. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
I didn't know. And again, I try not to bash. I try not to bash players on here. And I'm gonna try my hardest.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try not to, because everybody has a bad game every now and then. Okay?
That's the number.
Everybody has a bad game every now and then. Amude had a rough game. Had a rough game. Note still getting in foul trouble.
Yeah.
But the little Oompa Loompa, little short little bastard.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's got. I'm not going to sit here and say that he's terrible. I'm going to say he's a liability on the floor. Okay, he may be a great
unless he's shooting free throws.
Unless he's shooting free throws. The boy can shoot lights out from the free throw line.
Yeah.
But if you're a low percentage shot shooter, you do not need to take shots from outside the arc. You are there to feed the ball to guys like Note, J. Will, Amude, heck, KK Rock. We saw Trey Wade. Trey Wade's also a little bit of a liability, but he's coming around. The one I'm worried about the most is I just forgot his name. Tony.
Oh, Adis Tony. Yeah.
Adis Tony. That one kind of worries me a little bit. He's starting to get a little bit of a hot head.
Yeah, and he had a rough game too. And I mean, and let's face it, there were several times down low when one of the 87 layups that he missed. You know, he got fouled. If he missed 87 layups, he probably got fouled on about 84 of them. But I will never, and this is why I always say that I was never blessed with height, because the man upstairs knew I wouldn't handle it very well. But how in the world are you 6'7" and you miss a dunk? He had a wide open dunk. There was nobody. I mean, the guys in the stands were the closest ones to him.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we have? I
got no explanation on that one.
That one, I mean, and the one thing I noticed during the Tennessee game, we could not finish at the rack at all.
Yeah,
we couldn't buy a layup to save our life for a while.
No, I mean, it was like there was saran wrap over the rim and it would hit everywhere except falling through.
You know, and we touched on it on Inside the Hog Pen Friday night. Chris needs to be the one to feed the ball, not shoot it.
Yes.
That's where, you know, and when he passes the ball, when he assists, things like that, he does great. Mm-hmm. Then he starts forgetting there's 5 guys on the court. He keeps forgetting there are other guys that you can feed the ball to.
Yes. I thought about this yesterday. I was doing some stuff here around the house after the ball game, and I think I've come up with a pretty good analogy for who Chris Likes is. And this is going to hurt to bring this up, but I got to bring it up to make my
point. Don't do it.
I think you know where I'm going.
Don't do it. I will give you a jock strap right here if you say it. I am not afraid.
Let's just say it's somebody who played on the 2006 football team. That
not where I thought you were going. Okay, let's hear it.
All right. So to me, everybody remember the name Reggie Fish?
Okay, yeah, that's where I thought you were going. Jockstrap.
Okay. All right.
Oh yeah, that 2006 SEC championship game.
Yeah. But he's the Reggie Fish of this basketball team.
Unfortunately, I feel like I can see that. For those that are wanting to keep updated with the SEC going on right now, Alabama has beaten the Texas A&M Aggies in double overtime. It looks like 80-78. Maybe 13 and a half seconds left in double overtime, 80-78, and it looks like A&M's got the ball. So Gary Blair may get this one to go to a third overtime. We just have to see. So I like this quote. Josh Wilbanks chimes in and he says, "What's the deal with Chris and Coach Muss?" You know, I'm part of some of these Twitter Spaces. This new thing on Twitter. I'm trying to stay active on Twitter, and I don't know. I'm losing my IQ points as the days go on. But somebody had mentioned that Muss must have like some naked pictures of Muss doing a goat for him to get as much playing time as he's getting. I don't understand what the fixation on Chris Likes is. He doesn't have the height. Again, we were the momentum, the gelling, the mentality, the toughness of this team is kind of disrupted when he's on the court. I don't understand why Chris Likes is getting so much playing time. Do you, MC?
The only thing I can think of is that Likes is the only guy that Musk can actually see eye to eye with. So that's all I got, man. That's all I can come up with because I can't figure it out either. I mean, I kind of pride myself on being a basketball guy. I mean, Likes is quick. He can shoot free throws, so he's a good. He can be a good press breaker because he's so quick and he's so small that he's hard to guard at times. But man, his decision making is just not what you want from your guy who's going to have the ball in his hands in clutch time.
Yeah, Richard Wright chimes in and says, I didn't like the point blank misses either, but stuff happens.
That's fair. That's but again, I'm standing here at Chris Likes' height or what he's listed at. I actually think he's more Muggsy Bogues than he is Spud Webb. So
yeah,
that's, but golly, man, in that clutch time, he comes down and I know of 2 3-pointers that he shot that if I could have jumped through my television to strangle him, I would have strangled him.
Yeah.
Because the timing was just awful.
Brian Hatch chimes in and says, in Likes' defense, he made some nice passes and the guy blew the shot. Richard Wright chimes in, accentuate positive. Williams has been lights out, no taste sat for a long time. That's true. J. Will has come on and his game has turned around a lot. As much as I'd love to see him come back, he may be a first rounder by the end of the year.
He may be. I tend to, and I don't do this very often at all, but I agree with Dane Bradshaw when he said the one aspect of his game he needs to work on is his outside jumper. From about 15 feet and in, he's money. But in that, 16 to 23-foot range, he's a little shaky at times. But I would much rather him take the long-range shot than Chris Likes.
I almost want J. Will to suit up at, linebacker or something because the boy can take a hit.
Yeah.
The boy can take a charge. I mean, 40, I think he's at 43, 44 charges on the season so far.
Yeah. I think he had 5 or 6.
He had 5 or 6, and Rick Barnes was just boo-hooing at the amount of charges that he said Arkansas was getting. Well, I mean, what can you say?
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple, and I'll say this, and there were a couple that I thought he got that one on the reputation.
Yeah, he got. Chuck said he's got 4 against Tennessee.
All right, it felt like a lot more than that.
Right. But Brian Hatch said Likes had to play. Devo and Note both had to sit first half with fouls, and that seems to be an issue with JD. Out of his 10, 8 out of the last 10 games, he's been in foul trouble.
Yeah,
he's been in foul trouble.
Yeah, but so here's the question that I've seen a lot on Razorback Twitter. Why does Likes get minutes over KK Robinson?
Look, that is the $1 million question. That is the one I can't figure out. It's got to be because he's either not picking up the playbook, or he's not buying into what Muss is trying to lay down. Yeah. Something. It's either got to be between his ears or something he's not that Muss sees on the court that he doesn't like.
Well, he played a little bit, Saturday against Tennessee and had 3 or 3.5 good minutes. He didn't have any turnovers, had a couple of assists. He took 1 shot and missed it, which it was not a bad shot. I don't have a problem with it at all. I don't know. Something nobody's brought up is he still having some after effects of that foot injury that he had, last year that kept him out for most of the year last year.
Probably.
There may be something there where he didn't either get fully healed or it's the mental aspect of it.
So I want to run an idea past you. And this was brought up. I've seen it all across Twitter. And Josh Wilbank says the announcers suck. And when it comes to criticizing the game, yes, I agree. I get it that you have to be impartial, but you don't have to act like you're the boyfriend or the girlfriend of a specific player on the court for the opposing team every game. Number 2, what if, and this goes for when they broadcast, this is more for baseball, what if, again, this is not, I'm not taking credit for this idea. This was spoken to me, found on Twitter. What if they linked the video feed with the radio guys? So, like, you have the Razorback Sports Network on SEC Network Plus. They're broadcasting the baseball game instead of Brett Dolan and Troy Eklund. You've got Phil and Bubba. Same thing with basketball. Instead of whoever's calling it on the SEC Network, you've got Chuck and Coach Z. On same thing with football. That it gives it that little home. It gives it that good feeling. I mean, especially if on a football game, and you turn down those announcers because we all know they suck. Emphasizing that.
I'm the nerd that I will take my phone and sync my phone up with the back. I'll pause the video that's on like the basketball game Saturday. I'll pause it until I can get Chuck and Z synced up with it, and then roll with it from there. Because
that's not a bad idea, but I don't have that kind of attention span actually.
Well, and I work with this kind of equipment every day, so I'm
there you go.
Geek out over it, so it's a little easier for me to do that. But
there you go.
I've done that for a while.
All right, we're going to go to our second break of the show. We come back, we're going to be talking a little bit of college baseball. So stay with us, 4-Star Sports Show on the 4-Star Sports Radio Network. Back in 30 seconds.
Hey fans, did you know that 4-Star Sports Media now has a YouTube channel? You can catch exclusive content covering all things Memphis Tigers and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Shows like The Point, and the only show on social media about the Arkansas Razorbacks that is purely fan-driven, Inside the Hog Pen. Plus other shows like The Hog Trough, the 4-Star Sports Show, and many more coming soon. So check them out today. Go on YouTube.com and search 4-Star Sports Media.
Razorback Zach here once again for the 4-Star Sports Show from the Hog Pen in Central Arkansas. Got MC hanging out with me tonight. All right, so we talked a little bit about basketball. Now I want to switch gears and talk about baseball. But I want to touch on a few more of these comments. Richard Wright chimes in, says, you guys are very good here, knowledgeable, and I love it. Huge Hog family here. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate you joining us tonight. Chuck Pendergrass says KK seems a little lost at times. Yeah, I can agree with that from time to time. Brian Hatch, coach has something that he doesn't like about KK or Jackson. Vance Jackson, that is. And then Brian Hatch once again says, I give Dane Bradshaw credit. He played at Tennessee, and I thought he was very impartial.
I'll be the first one to admit I just don't like Dane Bradshaw. I didn't like him when he played. I've never liked him as an announcer, so that's a personal bias on me. He's nails on the chalkboard to me.
Yeah. Richard Wright, once again, they are young, and I think they will be a big part of the team next year. And then my boy Dwight Raleigh from the Fort says, what's up, y'all? Woo Pig Suey. Thank you, everybody, for chiming in and watching tonight. I know it's a Sunday night. Everybody's getting ready for the week. Most, if not all of you, are probably off tomorrow due to the holiday. I, unfortunately, am not. Yay, me.
I'm not either. Yeah.
4 o'clock comes early in the morning. But thank you to everybody watching across all of our social media platforms. And, of course, on the 4-Star Sports Radio Network at 4star.live and on YouTube. We are streaming tonight from the 4-Star Sports Show, 4-Star Sports Media, and Inside the Hog Pen Facebook pages. So, opening weekend of college baseball. And, of course, Arkansas opens up their series against Illinois State. Drops game 1 on Friday night. And if you looked at Twitter, basically some, if not the entire Razorback fan base, was getting ready to just pack it in and say, we'll see you at football season. Why? No, I'm not even going to ask that because we don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But we bounce back, take the series 2-1. I liked what I saw out of God. Who was our pitcher yesterday?
Hagen Smith.
Hagen Smith. Is it Hagen or Reagan? I'll just call him Smith. Yeah, I liked what he had. I wish the radar gun inside the stadium worked, but according to the announcers, it was down because of the construction. So hopefully they get that up before conference play. But from what I heard, Smith was throwing within the 92, 95 range.
Yeah. I thought he looked good. I knew nothing about him coming in, and I thought he looked good. It is Hagen.
It is Hagen. Thanks, Brad. The other thing from game one that we saw was this dude, the pitcher for Illinois State Friday night, took a zinger off the side of his head at 100. The exit velo was 103. Ouch. All I'm going to say is ouch.
Yeah.
And he got up and he was like, I'm going to throw a pitch, and was how he got up and walked off under his own power is beyond me.
Yeah, I don't know how he kept his balance when he threw the pitch, because your body's kind of all over the place when you're in a pitching motion anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he come through with his follow through and landed coming kind of leaning forward like they do, and he didn't fall, that dude has insane balance to be that, because I'm sure he was still seeing stars at that point, because golly, I can't even imagine. I got hit with baseball a few times when I played, and nothing ever that fast. It might have felt like it, but I mean,
he's definitely going to have a pop knot on his head,
without a doubt. Yeah.
But outside of that, when you look at this Arkansas team, it kind of worries you that, and it worried me there for a little while. This team's not as offensively explosive as Dave Van Horn built them up to be. Now, it could just be first series jitters and things like that, which is that's what I'm chalking this up to. It was first series. It was the first competition that was not against each other. So we'll have to see how they do down in Round Rock next weekend. But outside of that, what did you see that kind of stuck out to you?
On Friday night, the lack of hitting is what stuck out to me. Now, the hitting got better Saturday and Sunday, but the biggest thing that stuck out to me was the amount of men left on base. That's the biggest thing of the whole weekend that stuck out to me. There were a couple times on Friday you had 2 on, nobody out, you don't get anybody in. That happened again on Saturday, and then even though we had some good clutch 2-out hitting today, I still saw a few times, and I get you're not going to get everybody in, but if you get bases loaded or you get 2 guys on with nobody out, you've got to be able to get at least 1 run in. You've got to, and I think this team will get there. I think there's just a lot of guys that were searching a little bit too hard, wanting to get their first hit that opening weekend, especially on Friday. I think that led to some bad at bats, because everybody was kind of pressing, wanting to get that. Who's going to be the first one to get the hit? Who's going to be the first one to get the home run?
Jalen Battles was the first one to get a home run, wasn't he?
Yeah,
it was Battles. It was Bob Moore, and who was the other one? It was back-to-back homers.
No, Gregory had his today.
Yeah, Gregory had his today.
I don't remember who the other guy was.
Brian Hatch says, wind knocked down probably 5 balls that would have been hard this weekend. And wind plays a factor too. But the other news, go ahead, MC.
Well, I was just going to say, the wind is going to be something to watch this year with the new facility out in right field, because it's going to change the wind pattern of how the wind blows through the stadium. So that's going to be interesting to watch too.
Right. The other thing that kind of surprised me was Florida and Mississippi State. They lost their respective series on opening weekend.
Yeah.
Mississippi State. We're national champs! Woohoo! You get beat by a team that doesn't even belong to a state. They're Long Beach. Where the hell is Long Beach anyway? California?
Yeah, it's out west. Yeah. Well, and do you know their mascot?
The
baseball team is the Dirtbags.
That's fitting. Stop the show. That was great. We're going to end it on that note. I don't think I can take that serious. You get beat by the dirt bags.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I will say this, and Brad Staton brings up a good point. For the longest time in the 80s and 90s, man, Long Beach State was a fixture in Omaha.
Well, kudos to Mississippi State, and they are ranked in the top 25. So kudos to Mississippi State for scheduling a top 25 team opening weekend.
Right. Yeah.
Kudos to them, but you still got beat by the dirt bags.
Well, and okay, so how much?
I can't even say that.
How much of that plays into Arkansas losing that game 1 because they're like, man, this is Illinois State. This is not what we're, not caliber that we're used to playing. And we want to think that, Dave and Matt Hobbs and Nate Thompson and those guys are going to have everybody ready to be like, hey, you can't overlook this team. But,
and I think too that played in a factor to Saturday and Sunday.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I think
after the game Friday night, I think Dave Van Horn sat everybody down and was like, "Look, dude, let's just get back down to business."
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to see a lot of playing down to their competition like you did in years past.
That opening day loss may be the best thing that could happen to them because it would not surprise me in the least to see them go down to Round Rock, Texas, and just annihilate some people.
Yeah. Now, Brian Hatch kind of stole my thunder there for a minute, but Illinois State did come into Baum Walker last year and beat us in 2020. No, it was last year.
I don't remember that. But
they did come in and beat us last year. That was mentioned on the broadcast either yesterday or today.
I try to keep losses. I try to wipe losses from my brain unless they're just the really bad ones that just really stick out.
Yeah.
But they play in a pretty decent baseball conference. Dallas Baptist is in that conference. Missouri State's in that conference. There's some decent baseball teams there. Dallas Baptist is all. They've been a playoff, or maybe not Omaha, but they've made regionals and super regionals. They've hosted a couple regionals in the last few years.
And I think even Arkansas has gone up against Dallas Baptist a couple times.
Yes.
Either in the regional or super regional.
Yes.
Okay, so do you watch NASCAR by chance?
I used to be hardcore NASCAR. Up until just a few years ago, I would say probably about 2016 or so, I kind of faded off of it a little bit. About the time that Dale Earnhardt Jr. retired, I kind of faded out of it a little bit. But prior to that, man, it was appointment TV for me, man, on Sundays.
Well, I tell you, I haven't watched. This was the first weekend that I had watched all 3 series: the Truck, the Xfinity, and the Cup Series. And when we come back, I got to tell you about this wreck that happened Saturday night. And of course, a rookie wins the Daytona, the 64th running of the Daytona 500. You're not gonna want to miss what how the wreck ended up. But we're going to get to that the other side of the break. You're watching the 4-Star Sports Show on the 4-Star Sports Radio Network. Razorback Zach and MC coming right back.
Hey fans, did you know that 4-Star Sports Media now has a YouTube channel? You can catch exclusive content covering all things Memphis Tigers and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Shows like The Point, and the only show on social media about the Arkansas Razorbacks that is purely fan-driven inside the Hog Pen. Plus other shows like The Hog Trough, the 4-Star Sports Show, and many more coming soon. So check them out today. Go on YouTube.com and search 4-Star Sports Media.
All right, 4-Star Sports Show coming back to you. I'm Razorback Zach. He's MC. Final segment of the night. We got 2 more things we want to talk about tonight. And the first one is NASCAR opens up their weekend at Daytona. And the truck race on Friday night was kind of uneventful. I kind of just kept it on in the background. Couldn't really tell you much. But the Xfinity race last night, and, of course, Daytona 500 today, the big one. Those were really interesting. And, of course, everybody watch. You ask people on the street, do you watch NASCAR? Yeah, but I only watch them for the car wrecks. That's usually how most NASCAR fans get their start in the sport, is they just watch it for the car wrecks. And I got to tell you, this next-gen car that they've come out with has got to be one of the lightest since I've seen the Car of Tomorrow a few years back, and then one of the safest. And I don't have the video up because I couldn't find it, couldn't pull it fast enough. But in the Xfinity race, there was a car, I believe driven by a guy named Austin Hill, if I'm not mistaken. No. Gets airborne, goes upside down into the fence to the point where the engine was completely ripped off the chassis and ended up on the track. And he somehow managed to get out of the car and walk away.
Yeah.
This coming on the 21-year anniversary of Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s death. Okay? You go from that accident, freak accident, to having guys that are getting motors ripped out of cars, going upside down, flipping, tearing completely to shreds, and getting out without a scratch.
Yeah, that was wild.
And did you? I don't know if you heard about it, but did you hear what and who took the brunt of that accident outside of Austin Hill?
I did not.
Michael Jordan's motor coach.
Oh yeah, I did see that because I saw the video of Jordan kind of walking around, pointing out where there was debris here.
Jordan was on the other side of the fence by his motor coach. What took the brunt of most of the debris from that accident?
Man, that's wild.
And it was big, man. It was wild. The other big news coming out is Daytona 500 has a rookie, and I believe I spelled his name wrong there on our header, but a rookie wins the 64th running of the Daytona 500 on a wild last lap. He made that thing 4 or 5, that one single car 4 or 5 wide on that final lap. Austin Cindric of Penske Racing gets his first win and a rookie wins the 64th running of the Daytona 500. All right, so we're going to start a new segment. This kind of segues into our new show that we're launching here in a matter of weeks, actually. And it is finally WrestleMania season, and WWE Elimination Chamber, 4-Star Sports Media is going to be launching a brand new wrestling show. We're going to be covering AEW, WWE, may even touch on a little bit of professional boxing and MMA, but be sure to like, share, and follow. Stay up to date for when that new show launches. It'll be hosted by yours truly. I'll be joined by a bunch of guys from across the 4-Star brand, as well as a couple of subject matter experts in the field of WWE professional wrestling, pro boxing, and of course the MMA. Saturday night, though, WWE Elimination Chamber took place in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, for the very first time in WWE pay-per-view. One of the big three ended up on international waters, and it was terribly predictable. I mean, did you watch any of it?
I did not get to watch it. We had some family stuff going on Saturday, and obviously that took priority. But I'm in a Twitter chat group, a little private chat group with a couple buddies of mine who are diehard. I mean, we're all diehard wrestling fans, and they were kind of keeping me posted match by match, not necessarily play by play, but just kind of like, hey, here's kind of what happened. This was really cool. And then they were talking about the different matches on the night, and it was kind of roller coaster for them. You know, some of it was they thought was like, okay, this is pretty good, and then the rest of it, you know, was just kind of like, more of the same, blah. You know, very well. Different.
You know, the big thing for me was the way that the very first match on the card was Goldberg and Roman Reigns for the Universal title, and everybody thought that this was it. This was a dream match, 2 years in the making. Goldberg was going to come out and just jackhammer his way to the Universal title, and they booked him to basically in an elongated squash match. Yeah. I mean, he looked weak. They made him look weak. They made him look old. They made him look slow, vulnerable. I mean, it was terrible. But at the same time, if you flip that devil's advocate, Vince McMahon doesn't trust anybody on that SmackDown roster to carry that Universal title other than Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
There's nobody else.
There's not anybody.
I mean, you've got not a full-time wrestler anyway.
No.
I mean, John Cena, we don't know how long he would have been around. He's well past his prime.
Right.
Goldberg. I mean, you don't have anybody. So, therefore, to me, Vince just doesn't trust anybody. But who else are you going to have match up with Roman Reigns? He's blown through literally everybody.
Yeah, on SmackDown, there's not anybody. I mean, you're going to have to. I'm a big AJ Styles guy.
AJ's good.
I really like AJ. I've liked him for a long time, even before his days in Japan when he was in TNA Impact, whatever they were going by at that time. But like you said, man, Roman has run through everybody that's on SmackDown. And if you look back, Vince has a history of taking one guy and building up that one guy and having him just run the show. The one exception to that was when he caught lightning in a bottle and he had Stone Cold and The Rock at the same time. Those are generational guys. You're never going to catch two guys like that at the same time again. But you had Hogan, you had Bret Hart, you had Undertaker. Each of these guys all had their big run, and they were on the top of the mountain for a very long time. CM Punk, until Roman come along, CM Punk was the longest title holder, the longest tenured title holder that they had. And
look what they did to Punk.
Exactly. Yeah.
They ran him off. Now he's flourishing. Now he's flourishing in AEW. But Chuck Pendergrass makes a very good point. Damian Priest would be a good one to start pushing that way. Yes, but at the same time, he's still kind of green. Give him a little bit.
Yeah.
But I agree. Now, switching gears into one of the next matches was the Women's Elimination Chamber match. Mm-hmm. Now, props to all 6 women. However, it should have gone to either Liv Morgan or Alexa Bliss.
I agree. You won't find a bigger Alexa Bliss fan than me.
This guy. I will leave my girlfriend for Alexa Bliss. I am not kidding. All right. If I had a girlfriend. No, I'm kidding. No, I would leave my girlfriend for Alexa Bliss, hands down. I
think you could take Ryan Cabrera. I really do. I think you could take him.
Well, yeah, just kick him in the knee. He's a hockey player.
Oh, there you go.
Take his knee out. His whole career's done. No, but
he'll get within reach though, because if he grabs a hold of you, man, it's over.
Right? But no, I mean, there's talk that The Rock is coming back to challenge Roman for head of the table because, and you saw a sneak peek of that Saturday night when he did a rock bottom on Goldberg, a move he's not done. So this could be setting this up for Rock's return. I don't see it likely because it's been talked about so much, and if Vince was smart, he'd have kept it under wraps.
Yeah, that's one of those things you don't want it leaking out, and you don't want any kind of subliminal messages on it. You want it to be the complete jaw-dropping surprise.
Number 2 is, and of course Josh Wilbanks says it over here in the comments, there's also talk, and it has been somewhat confirmed, Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to be at WrestleMania 38 in what is the first match back since 2003. I don't know, and it's going to be against Kevin Owens. I don't know how they're going to set this up because they're running out of time.
Yeah.
There's that, and we'll get to that in just a second. But going back on the WWE pay-per-view Elimination Chamber, I have nothing against Bianca Belair. I've got nothing against Rhea Ripley. I've got nothing against any of those other competitors. You pushed Bianca Belair already. She's already had her title shot. Rhea Ripley already has her title shot. Doudrop, not there yet.
I agree.
Doudrop, not there yet. She's still way too green to put the title on her. It should have gone to either Alexa Bliss or Liv Morgan. Those two deserve a title shot. And you can argue Alexa Bliss has had her title shot. She's one of the veterans of the group. She has, but she's not been, and I'm going to use the word, relevant in a long time. I mean, the best work she's doing is right now. She is over.
Oh yeah.
But Vince will not, for whatever reason, not put the belt on either her or Liv Morgan right now. And I can't understand why.
Yeah, there's a lot of moves that Vince makes that I don't understand. Now, that man has probably wasted more money on, craps tables than I will ever earn in my life because of his knowledge of how to book wrestling and how to make money. But that said, I'm like, what are you doing, man? Just like not putting the belt on Alexa. I don't understand it.
Yeah, and then you have the next match on the card, I think, was Becky and Lita. Hall of Famer Lita comes back. She was my heartthrob back in the Attitude Era. God, she was hot. Yeah. But that's beyond the point. And again, that was probably the best match, one of the best matches of the night. Both women put it all out there. And Becky, of course, big time Bex, again, retains the belt. I don't know what happens to Lita at this point. Does she stay on, or was this just kind of a one-off to get a payday? Because you can't use Undertaker.
Right.
Yeah. Of course. Go ahead, FC.
Well, I was just going to say, if you keep Lita on, where do you go with it? I mean, that's where I think things are lacking with the booking right now with WWE, at least in the writing, and at least in my opinion, is because they look at it, every storyline's rushed. They're trying to get the big match really quick, whereas instead of dragging it out and I hate to say dragging it out, but stretching it out,
building it up.
Building it up. You're not giving it proper time to build up. I mean, you think back to the Attitude Era when there was a few, like when Stone Cold first emerged. How long did he and Bret Hart have a feud before it finally got to that, to that last match?
Well, and Austin back then was one of those. He didn't actually hit the scene until King of the Ring 96. He was Stone Cold up before then. But the persona of Stone Cold Steve Austin didn't take off until King of the Ring 96, where he said the infamous line, you talk about your Psalms, you talk about John 3:16, and he said it one time. Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped your ass. He said that line one time, and that became part of the character. He never said that line again. Ever.
Right. And it was lightning in a bottle, man. But
it was.
I think there's a lot of, and I think some of it comes with people, they don't have the attention span for a 3 or 6 month feud now. They want it to go for about a month and then get your payoff at whatever pay-per-view is next. And I think that's just, there's a difference in the wrestling audience, like what I grew up with versus what's there now, because, they'll lose interest. If you drag out, let's say you take AJ Styles and Roman, let's just say they put those two together in a feud. If you started that feud, let's say right after WrestleMania, and you drug it all the way to SummerSlam in August, people would lose interest.
Yeah.
I would love it because I love the longer storylines.
But that's how us veteran fans that have been fans for years, before the Attitude Era, before Hulkamania, I'll even go back that far. That's how they used to book programs, and that's how they kept interest, and that's where pro wrestling became what it was.
Yes. But it was also different because you didn't have social media. You didn't have all the dirt sheets. I mean, the dirt sheets were there, but they did not have the publicity that they have around them now. Nobody knew who Dave Meltzer was, back in those days. So it's a different game now.
Social media has definitely changed the game. And, of course, we'll go – some of the other things was Ronda Rousey came back during the Royal Rumble, made her, amazing return, still a badass. She beats Sonya Deville and Charlotte Flair with one arm tied behind her back. That feud between her and Charlotte Flair has already gone off the rails. It's been beaten to death. The Usos were supposed to have a title match with the Viking Raiders. That shot never happened because the Usos attacked them pre-match. And then the main event of the night was the guys' Elimination Chamber match, and Lesnar just blew through everybody, kicked himself out of the pod he was in, kicked the plexiglass out, and stormed and just destroyed everybody.
And I
Word
read on
is
Twitter, that wasn't planned either. By the way, he just did it.
That wasn't planned, but man, did it light a fire in that crowd. And they were going to put the title on him because Bobby Lashley has a shoulder injury, so he's going to be out. I don't expect to see him back till at least SummerSlam.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But there's your pay-per-view results and recap. So the big news out of AEW is Cody Rhodes and Brandi Rhodes have left AEW, which is kind of surprising because of his stature. I mean, he helped build AEW, and word is he's returning to WWE. We're just a few years ago when AEW started, he basically gave WWE the finger. Why go back? Why go back? And so the question is, oops, I jumped ahead there. Is it legit or is it a work of some kind?
Because I'm leaning towards the work. Now, that may be wishful thinking on my part, but if there's one thing Vince knows, it's how to make money. Mm-hmm. And it's, if he has to think outside the box in order to make it, then he may think outside the box. But I think between the mind of Vince and the mind of Tony Khan, I think there's got to be some kind of crossover event that they've at least discussed. Cody leaving, man, that's like Henry Ford leaving Ford Motor Company and going to work for Chevrolet.
Yeah, this is huge. If it's a crossover event with WWE, this could be huge. This could be very big. Brad Staten says, Lashley used to live here in Colorado Springs. I ran into him a couple times around town. He is indeed huge. Joshua Wink says, I heard that AEW is running out of money. I don't know how true that is, though.
I don't think there's any truth to that because the Khan family, their net worth is about 10 times more than the McMahon family's worth.
Yeah.
You got to remember Shad Khan, Tony Khan's dad, is the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which is why they suck. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, but that's another story for another show. But
kicker of the year goes to Urban Meyer. I'm totally kidding.
Wow.
So here's the thing: if this is legit, and Cody Rhodes has left left AEW and is headed to WWE, where in the hell is he going to show up? How are they going to fit him into this? And are they going to put the Stardust persona back on him?
Oh,
that was
dude. If he went back to WWE to only go back and be Stardust, then he deserves every bad thing that's going to happen to him. That was
terrible. Yeah. I loved him when he was a single star or he was with Legacy, and it was the smoke and mirrors. He was a second generation wrestler, son of Dusty Rhodes. The American dream.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard times, daddy. I mean, and then you turn around and you make him Stardust, like.
Oh, the cosmic alloy. I mean, I don't know.
That just kind of makes your brain hurt.
I thought Legacy should have got a longer run. I love the concept behind Legacy, and I thought there should have been more to that. But.
Well, a couple of WrestleManias ago, I think it was 31, we got the dream matchup of the NWO versus DX. Mm-hmm. Kinda. There was so much Metamucil being drinking backstage, and Ben Gay rubbed on them. You could smell it all the way here in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But even when you got at Crown Jewel, you had DX and the Brothers of Destruction, which was a complete failure. Okay?
Yes.
I would have loved to see Evolution without Randy Orton and Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, you can put Randy Orton in the middle and go, is he with Evolution or is he with Legacy?
Yep.
That would have been a good storyline. There's no way to fit Cody Rhodes. There's no way to fit Cody Rhodes in. I mean, Brad Staten says bring him in and have him make a run at Reigns. Somebody needs to. I don't think you can match Cody Rhodes up with Roman Reigns. I don't see that.
No,
I don't see how that would. I don't see how that would work.
No, I think you got to bring him in. I don't know where you bring him in, but you got to bring him in and let him work his way up to the head of the table.
Yeah, you can't just bring him in and. You just can't bring him in and go, hey, you're going to fight Roman Reigns for the Universal title at Backlash.
Yeah.
You know,
Can't do that.
no. The last thing, AEW news, is Tony Khan teases a big announcement this week that nobody, quote, nobody will see coming. He did this with the Forbidden Door thing, and it flopped. Mm-hmm. You had the white guy, whatever his name is, White, the MMA fighter, come in, and then the big debut, which everybody thought would have been Shane McMahon, was actually Keith Lee.
Which Keith Lee, I mean, that very athletic dude. I'm not a huge fan of his, but his debut was pretty cool. It wasn't Adam Cole cool, but it was pretty nice for a non-pay-per-view surprise debut.
I still tell you, I'm still a CM Punk fan, whether he's with AEW, WWE, whoever. His work behind the mic is stuff of legend. Oh, yeah. And it's so flawless, you know? And so you've got that coming up this week. Monday Night Raw kicks off tomorrow night at 7 p.m. on the USA Network. And then, of course, you've got Wednesday Night Dynamite on TBS, and that's the AEW. And then you've got SmackDown Friday night, 7 o'clock on Fox. And then, of course, Friday Night Rampage on TNT for AEW. The next big pay-per-view, though, April 2nd and 3rd, WWE WrestleMania live from Dallas and from Arlington there at Cowboy Stadium. And in reality, WrestleMania weekend goes from April 1st all the way to April 4th. Mm-hmm. Friday night, you've got SmackDown from the American Airlines Center. Right after SmackDown is the Hall of Fame ceremony. Of course, Saturday and Sunday, you've got WrestleMania. And then Monday, you've got Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, and the Raw after Mania is always a good one because you've got all these fans from all over the world in town, and the crowds normally for that show after WrestleMania are off the charts.
And you've also got who pops up the Raw after Mania, who returns.
That could be a good
surprise. That could be a good spot. So there you have it. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, MC?
Man, it's been a heck of a sports weekend. Let's just, Hogs need to go down to Gainesville and take care of business on Tuesday night and then get ready for the big blue sleazeballs to come in next Saturday.
That's going to be a rocking crowd again. That's going to be the stripe out. So we've had a white out. We've had a red out. This is the stripe out coming up Saturday. Depending on schedules, we may have a post-game show Tuesday night. I'm not exactly sure yet. Just going to have to see how everything lines up. Friday night, of course, 7 o'clock. Is Inside the Hog Pen. Thursday night is the college basketball pick'em show. I think my picks have completely gone off the rails. But join me and the guys once again. And, And then, of course, if you like, share, and follow to make sure you keep up to date with everything. We've got new shows coming out soon. I know everybody's going to want to see the Falls Count Anywhere show. That's going to be our wrestling show. And I hope everybody tunes in for that. Other than that, we are done for the night. Hope everybody has a fantastic week. If you're off tomorrow, don't do anything stupid. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, which doesn't equate to much, but I just got to tell you guys to be safe. I'm Razorback Zach from Inside the Hog Pen. He is Marcus MC Carlton. We will see you guys later on down the road. Have a good week. So long, everybody.